Welcome back, 5th grade scholars. Today we'll be engaging in Grade 5, Module 6, Lesson 9. Again, this is Mrs. Netler, and I'm excited to take you through this learning. Let's get going. The learning goal for today is to generate two number patterns from given rules, plot the points, and analyze patterns. So as you see on the screen, this is a lot of what we've already been doing in the last two lessons. We are going to continue to look at rules, create coordinate pairs, and plot them. But we're going to deepen our learning today by really analyzing the patterns and talk about how the rules change the coordinate pairs and what it looks like when we plot it. So I'm super excited. Let's get going. So let's start with problem 1. The materials for today are your Module 6 Lesson 9 coordinate plane template. But again, if you don't have your workbooks, that's totally fine. You can either use grid paper if you have it or a blank sheet of paper. Either one will work. So in problem 1, we're going to graph 3 lines. We're going to focus on rules that include addition first, and we're going to plot all the points on the coordinate plane and compare and contrast them. So let's start with our first line. The first rule is one that you have experienced before, so it's going to really start up our learning. So the rule is y is 2 more than x. So again, this rule is addition, so we know that if y is 2 more than x, then I need to add 2 to my x to get y. So let's do a quick practice. If my x coordinate is 1, what would be my y coordinate? I'll give you some think time. Good. My y coordinate would be 3 because I know that 1 plus 2 equals 3. And then I will write my coordinate pair. I would like you to pause the video at this time, complete the rest of the y coordinates, and when you are done with that, press play and we will resume. Amazing job. As you can see here, my chart is completed, so I stuck with the rule that y is 2 more than x. So 5 was my x coordinate, 2 more is 7, 10, 2 more is 12, and 15, 2 more is 17. I then plotted all of my points and I will label my line. So let's move on to the next rule. For line M, our rule will still be addition, but now the new rule is y is 5 more than x. So I want you to think about our first coordinate pair. If my x coordinate is 0, what would be 5 more than 0? Good, 5. So my y coordinate would be 5. At this point in time, I would like you to pause your video, complete the rest of the coordinate pairs for line M, plot all the pairs on your coordinate plane, and when you are finished, go ahead and push play and I will be here. Fantastic work. As you can see here, I have completed the rest of the chart following the rule that y is 5 more than x. So for my second coordinate pair, I have x is 5, y is 10, because 5 plus 5 is 10. I also have 10 and 15, and then 15, 20. Now I'm going to plot all of my points, and then we're going to discuss what is the comparison and what are some contrasts between the two lines. And then I'm going to connect and label. Make sure that your lines look very similar to mine. All right, let's go ahead and do some analysis of our two lines. So I'm going to give you some think time. Do lines L and M intersect? No, they do not. We would call these lines parallel because they never meet or cross each other. All right, I'm going to give you a little writing task. I want you to jot down some comparison and contrasts of lines L and M. So that means I want some similarities and some differences of the line. Pause your video to do that, and once you have some ideas written down, press play and we can move forward together. Fantastic thinking. Some similarities that I heard between lines L and M was that since they are parallel, they look to be going at the same angle. Also, it looks to be like a copy of the same line. However, a contrast was that M was further up than line L. That is an interesting thought. I want you to look at the two rules for line L and line M. At this time, pause the video and jot down some ideas as to why line M might be higher up than line L and discuss the two rules. Once you have some ideas, jot it down. Please press play and we'll be back. Outstanding ideas. Here were some highlight answers that I heard from students. They noticed that both rules were adding to the x-coordinate, but in line L, they were adding 2, and in line M, they were adding 5. So all of the y-coordinates on line M are 3 units above all the y-coordinates on line L with the same x-coordinates, which would explain why line M is further up in our coordinate plane. Awesome job, everybody. Let's keep going. All right, let's add another line. We will name it line N. Let's glance at the rule for line N. Y is 8 more than X. So we have line L as 2 more, line M as 5 more, and now line N as 8 more. Before we get started with finding coordinate pairs, I want you to make a prediction as to what line N might look like on the coordinate plane. I want you to pause, jot down your prediction, and when you're ready, press play to come back. Fantastic predictions. I heard some students say it might be another parallel line. Let's find out. Let's look at our table. We have 3 x-coordinates, and we need to figure out what y would be. Let's do one together. If y is 8 more than x, what would y be if x was 0? Good. It would be 8. At this time, pause your video, find the y-coordinates for the other 2 coordinate pairs, and plot line N on the coordinate plane. Once you have completed those tasks, press play and resume. Outstanding work. So I finished the y-coordinates on our table. I had that the y-coordinate when x was 5 is 13, and when x is 10, it is 18. So let's plot these points together and see if our prediction that it will be another parallel line is true or not. Here we go. So I have 0 and 8. I have 5 and 13, and I have 10 and 18. And our prediction was correct. We do have another parallel line. The reason that we have another parallel line is because I'm continuing to add more to the x in each rule. You are all doing amazing. Let's continue forward. Moving into problem 2, we're now going to look at lines that have multiplication rules. And we're going to do the same thing where we're going to plot all of our points and then compare and contrast the rules. So let's start with our first rule on line P, which is y is x times 2. So let's do a little practice. If x is 2, what would be y? Good. It would be 4. How did you get that? Very nice. You multiplied your x by 2 because the rule says that y is x times 2. I'm going to give you some x coordinates. And at this point in time, I would like you to pause the video and find the y coordinates and then finish by plotting all of your points and graph on your coordinate plane. Once you have completed that entire task, please press play and we can keep going. Rockstar work. I did complete the coordinate pairs here, so I multiplied 2 times 1, which is 2, 2 times 3, which is 6, and 2 times 4, which is 8. Let's go ahead and plot together. So I have 0, so I'm going to start at my origin. Then I have 1 and 2, 3 and 6, and 4 and 8. I'm going to connect and label, of course. Fantastic job. Let's go ahead and continue moving. All right, so now we have another line. We have line Q. The new rule for line Q is y is x times 3. So go ahead and complete the same task. Pause the video, find the coordinate pairs for line Q, plot your points, and once you have finished all of that work, go ahead and press play and we can talk about it. Wonderful job, everybody. So I did complete my coordinate pairs. I used the rule that y is x times 3, and I got 0, 0, 1, 3, 3, 9, and 4, 12. So before we plot this line, I want you to think, will line P and Q intersect, and how do you know? So pause the video. I want you to jot that down as to whether you think it will or will not intersect, and how do you know? Once you have your thinking done, press play and come on back. Brilliant thinking. I heard the majority of you say, yes, these lines will intersect, and it's because they both have a coordinate pair of 0, 0. So they actually intersect right at the origin. So let's go ahead and graph line Q. So we have, like I said, we're going to start at the origin. At 0, 0, we have 1, 3, 3, 9, 4, 12. And then we will connect. Fantastic. Let's keep going. All right, now we're really going to look into these lines and the rules and do some comparing and contrasting. So at this point in time, we're going to do the same thing that we did before. Pause the video. I want you to jot down some comparisons and some contrasts. Remember that similarities and differences for the rules and the lines for P and Q. Once you have some ideas, jot it down, press play, and I will be here. Fabulous thinking. So a common similarity that I heard was that both lines P and Q start at the origin. But a major difference that I heard was that line Q was steeper than line P. I want you to pause and think, why is line Q steeper than line P? Once you have an idea, press play and come back. Wow, outstanding conversations. I heard a lot of you say that you used all the same values for the x coordinates, but what you were multiplying by was different. So in line Q, we were multiplying by 3, which caused the y coordinates to get higher quicker, which would then cause the line to be steeper. That is amazing work. Let's dive deeper into another rule. All right, now we're adding line R, and the rule is y is x times 5. So we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to make a prediction before we start finding coordinate pairs for this line. So pause the video, make a prediction about what line R would look like. Once you have your prediction written down, press play, and we can keep moving. All right, I'm excited to test if your predictions are true or false. So I did give you some x coordinates. At this time, you're going to pause the video, find the remaining coordinate pairs, and plot all of the points on your graph. Once you have that done, press play, and let's keep learning. All right, so I heard a lot of predictions that they thought that line R was going to be even steeper than line Q. Let's test those predictions. So if I multiply by 5, I have 0 times 5, which is 0, and 1 times 5, which is 5, and 3 times 5, which is 15. So let's plot our points and test our predictions. So again, I'm going to start at the origin. Then I have 1 and 5, 3 and 15. And I'm going to connect and, of course, label. So interesting, our line was steeper than Q. I want you to pause the video, think about why line R is steeper than line Q. Once you have some ideas, press play and let's chat. Wonderful. You made the same connection that we multiplied the same x-coordinates, but we multiplied it by more, by a greater value. We multiplied by 5, which caused the y values to be greater, faster. So that's why line R is steeper. Fantastic job, everybody. Let's wrap it up. It's my favorite time. It's problem set time, and I love that you get a chance to show what you learned and show what you know. So at this point in time, you're going to open up to grade 5, module 6, lesson 9, problem set. And I only want you to do number 1, A, and B. So pause the video, give yourself time to do number 1. Once you have completed number 1, press play, and we'll finish up. All right, so now that you gave yourself some time to complete number 1, let's go through this together. So we're going to complete our charts and the tables. So our first rule is that y is 1 more than x. So if I have 1, 1 more is 2. If I have 5, 1 more is 6. That was bad, 6. There we go. If I have 9, 1 more is 10. And if I have 13, 1 more is 14. So I'm going to graph. And 13 all the way up to 14. I'm going to connect and label line A. Let's go ahead and move to line B. The new rule is y is 4 more than x. So I want you to think about our addition rules that we did in the concept development together and think, what kind of lines are we going to make, intersecting or parallel? Let's find out. So 4 more would be 4. 4 more than 5 would be 9. 4 more than 8 is 12. And 4 more than 11 is 15. Let's go ahead and plot. 0, 4, 5, 9, 8, 12, and 11, 15. Oh, it's kind of a bad line. And then I'm going to label. Okay, so we did letter A. Now let's compare and contrast these lines. So I heard a couple of students say that they looked very similar. They were going up the same angle. But again, they noticed that B was further up in the coordinate plane. And just like we explored in that concept development, B was further up because we were adding more to the x coordinates. And when you add more, that sends your graph further up the y-axis, which would then have a line that's further up in the coordinate plane. As always, if you guys have any questions, make sure to reach out to your teachers so they can help. But at this point in time, congratulations, you have finished grade 5, module 6, lesson 9, concept development. I would like you to go ahead and complete problem 2 of your problem set. Make sure you upload your work and then go to Zearn to continue your learning. Super impressed with how hard you all have been working, and I'm very excited to see you all in the next lesson.